Just checking.
Good morning to the September 4th meeting of the Fire Prevention and Building Safety Commission. Start. Yeah, here. 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 Present. 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 Sorry.
Vice
Present.
Commissioner Slaughter.
Present. Present.
Excellent. All right.
Everybody have a chance to read the 2024 minutes from August.
I saw a issue with 240743 Seven Brew Drive-Through Coffee was shown as approved in my notes. It's tabled. 240743 Seven Brew Drive-Through Coffee.
So to approve. Motion to approve with that correction. Second.
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Vice Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Porter.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Peck.
Yes.
Moving on to IDHS reports and updates.
Okay. Electrical code update committee continues working. I think that we have wrapped up our code change proposals at this point. We've moved into fiscal impact analysis. Building and fire code are still reviewing proposals. Fire code is in the last chapters and appendices this week. The revised code update committee also continues to review the codes and changes that come in. They have authorized DHS to put forward a proposal to adopt the new codes temporarily while we review that. We'll be bringing to you as we go. Not quite ready yet. We've done it there. Questions or comments on the ruling?
Go back up to 4, grant determination reports. No, actually going back up to 4. We just did rulemaking.
Yes.
Up to 4. Reports and updates.
Oh, sorry. The variance determinations report, has everybody had a chance to look at that? Anybody have any questions or comments on that? No state building commissioner interpretation published at this time. Any ruling updates? We're going to those variances.
Yeah. We want table variances.
First up, we have 2440 A through L, Clubhouse, Holiday Farm, Slinesville.
Melissa Tupper, RTM Consultants. We'd like to table these.
Motion table. Second. First and second.
Commissioner Curtis.
Yes.
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 Commissioner Hayes.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Commissioner Pattern?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Porter?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Singer?
Yes.
All right, moving on, we have 240731 Old Sheriff's House and Jail for applicant.
Everyone here, 240731, Old Sheriff's House and Jail.
Yes,
Yes.
Derek Bradshaw. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, a couple of things here. We did upload some information about exiting, which was questioned last month. You should have some plans from Sandy Boyd here, who's on the line here, as far as where the exits are and where the different tour locations are here. Also, I should have on the line here the structural engineer, Scott Jones of RC Engineers, who can answer any structural questions regarding the facility. One thing I kind of wanted to go back over, there was some comments made last month that I feel like that a number of the commission members really didn't understand kind of the history behind some of these changes of occupancies on these older historic buildings. This thing actually was put on the foundation was formed and it was put on the National Register of Historic Places. That was back in January of 1989. And that was really the time when it actually changed, use, and it was actually started the tours to the public. The thing the commission really needs to understand is that we did not have a Chapter 34 or a change of use format like we know it today. Where we did not pick up a Chapter 34 until the adoption of the 2003 Indiana Building Code. It was the first time we ever actually had a format then. And interesting enough, that was the first time we ever actually had to submit plans to the state for review. There was actually a review process established for these Chapter 34s. Prior to that, the GAR had what they called a Rule 8, which was used to evaluate existing building use. The part about that was that there was never established any requirement for filing under Rule 8. If you were doing remodeling or new addition work, then the building code picked up on that and required you to file. But otherwise, it was strictly handled on the local level. That evaluation was made under the Rule 8 as to whether an existing building could be used, for the intended purpose. If no real modifications were made, there was never ever anything filed with the state at all. It was strictly handled locally. And I've run into this situation where I've had conversations with local officials before, where it was really up to them to document, if they felt they needed to, any change of an existing building. Back in that time, there really wasn't the structure there. So to say that, oh yeah, they've changed use and so forth, and start trying to really hammer them over the Chapter 34, it's very possible that that was already agreed to on the local level, and the state was never involved. It was all, they were only brought in whenever there was new construction work being done or extensive remodeling work being done. So as I see it, this, really, this building has been used for this same intent use that they've been doing since 1989. It's just throughout the years, they've been proceeding with a preservation, which is part of their historical foundation's goal is preservation of this property. So I keep questioning as we go through this whole thing, whether this is really a change of use under our current, building code standards. I think it's always been that way, and they're not really changing anything from what they've been doing since 1989. That's the part there. We're dealing with a historic building that they are bound by certain things that they have to do. Now we can go through and discuss, the exiting that we can now show you and so forth. But I question that there really isn't a change of use, because they're still preserving it as a jail as it was back in the 1800s, and they're preserving it as the sheriff's house, and all the guided tours are just to let people see what it was like. It's not that we're wanting to change the use to an ice cream shop or a bed and breakfast or anything like that. That's not the intent, is to do this. And we have a lot of other historic structures throughout Indiana that are very similar, to where we're preserving what once was, to allow people, generations to come, to see what it was like in that day. We're not trying to create anything unsafe and so forth. And we feel that that's the direction we're looking at. Now, when we first started this, I tried to talk to the inspector about this sort of scenario, and they just said, well, no, it's a museum. Museums are all assemblies, and went down that road. And so that's why we eventually came to the commission on this. But again, historic buildings are a unique animal in itself. They are in fact, and that's why even when we look in our GAR under variances and so forth, they list historic buildings as something that is justified to have variances for. At this point, I guess I can turn it over to Sandy Boyd. She can kind of explain what she had submitted for egress and exiting, if that's okay, Sandy.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we took the maps. I got those to Dennis, and we measured all the distances within the building where we do our guided tours and even our haunted house. And the longest distance we got was 139 feet. And that is from the farthest distance during a guided tour to an exit. The other area we used was 74 feet. The haunted house area is even less than that distance, because we don't use the whole building for any of those purposes. So I did put those down on the maps that I submitted to you. And again, they're all guided tours. Our groups that go through for regular tours, less than 10. For the haunted house, we only allow groups of 6 to 8, and those are guided also. So during that whole process, there is always less than 50 people in the building at all times. And I can answer any questions that you have also. Did anyone have any other questions on building usage?
No. Just thinking back to last month, my comment here from the notes was really in response to the exiting, the number, especially on the far part off to the right of the plan. That was my big issue in the 1928 edition. And that I see that the tour only goes partial way in comes back out. I thought, wow, if somebody on that tour decided to go hide, one of these areas, and something happened, I see the exit signs, my mind was, does somebody get caught back there? And actually, I don't see an exit sign there in the 1928 edition, to that one entry point, because you could go either way. If you go back into the 1928 edition, you can go right or left, unless you have that barricaded off. I don't know. But if somebody got back in there, there was a problem, could they find their way out was my question. And last month I was just offering up the suggestion that, could there be a second exit out of the building on the alley side, which to me would not impact the historic nature of this building. And that was my just suggestion last month, just to help with the exiting.
Well, I think you can see with the maps in front of you now, that it is a straight shot right back to the exit. There isn't a lot of confusion. If somebody was back there, if they did get to the other side during a guided tour, which has never happened, but say it did, if they came right back out, it is not a confusing exit. There are no twists, no turns, no doors. It would be a straight shot right back to the front of the building and to the exit.
Well,
So I think the map maybe make that clearer for you.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. I'm just thinking, in a worst case scenario, there's a bunch of smoke. I'm not suggesting anything could burn in there. I don't know what the materials are in there. I assume concrete or, block or stone or something like that. But I'm just thinking if something was burning, there was a lot of smoke in there, could you find your way out? Would you get turned around? And it's just that one time, right? In something like this.
Right. And all the material in the jail itself is non-combustible. It is all brick and cement and iron bars. And the cells are empty. We do not have artifacts back there or part of the museum back there. We don't have anything in the jail itself. So like I said, the materials are non-combustible. If something were to happen, a window would be able to be knocked out for air, that kind of thing. But everything is non-combustible where groups go.
And none of the cell doors there in the 1928 edition, none of those have locks or any way of enclosing a person in there? Or they're
95% of the doors are missing in the jail. We don't have doors in the jail at all. So on most cells, Dillinger's cell block does have doors, but they do have a lock system on them.
Does it make sense to at least add, maybe a couple exit signs in the 1928 edition just to help, just in case somebody ends up, at the back of that area?
That is absolutely feasible. Yes. And in that long tunnel that you can see on the map, there is security lights in there. I don't know if I marked that well. So if any event of any power outage, those lights would all come on also.
Yes, that's helpful too. I would be more supportive if there were more, because I did read RTM's letter that you attached. But I would be more supportive if there were more, maybe at least 2 extra exit signs in the 1928 edition.
Speaking of the RTM letter, just so it's on the record, I'm assuming that you meant to say at the beginning on August 2024.
Okay.
That's totally fine. It's somebody's looking back and wanting to see your DeLorean. I don't know.
If I could just speak to the, one of the things that I do is I work for the Historic Landmarks Foundation and the National Historic. I'm considered a specialist when it comes to fire protection in historical buildings. One of the things that historical societies hate the most is fire protection engineers because we destroy everything that we touch. So the Department of Interiors has put together a really great guideline on what we do when we have these type of buildings. And these are very different than a museum. I know we really don't have anything else to classify them as. Really, it's still a jail that we do tours of. Similar to Alcatraz, it's really the only other jail. This one I went through, I have to say, I kind of like what they've done with the historic preservation more than Alcatraz. Alcatraz has been used in a lot more movies. That kind of starts to hurt too. We have a lot of these buildings on the East Coast. I'm from Boston originally. We have a lot of buildings that you're squeezing through little nooks and crannies on the stair. The whole idea is to do something different than the building code, so we really take them out. And what we do is preparation, and that's what we've been working with them on, is their preparation. So while exit signs have a purpose, when you're on a small guided tour, they have much less of a purpose. We train our tour guides on these facilities to act as basically the old fire marshals that we used to use in buildings. So it's the same type of a training program where they understand how to get out of the building. This building has windows all the way around outside. It's very rarely ever dark unless they're doing their night tours, and the night tours are done differently as far as the evacuation methods. Putting a big red exit sign in there, if you've seen it, it would kind of destroy that. There are other ways we can hide the lighting with our new LEDs for emergency lighting so that they can find their way out. It's not a great big building, so when you do go in that cell block, it's not like you're going to get very far down the end and come back. And then when we analyze it from the fire dynamic standpoint and look at this building, there's really no combustible loading in this building. It's down to the bare minimum. It's a fantastic building made of steel. The cell people that we use now in our current jails are in Florida. They build the cells out of concrete. Back in the day, it was shipbuilders. So the shipbuilders would build the steel jail cells, which kind of still have all the rivets and all that. So the construction itself is non-combustible. The building contents, there really is none. They've done a great job on mitigating that. We've talked about a few little areas where they'll mitigate it further. So we really don't have that as an issue. From the third side, we do have windows, exterior windows, pretty much around the inside of the building. Usually in our jails, we have these little tiny windows. Back in the day, they didn't even light the jails, so they had daylight for them during the day. So they do have emergency access should anything get to that point. But the whole point from the historic preservation standpoint is historic preservation takes a really long time, and we also have historic restoration where we go in and try to get rid of anything that anybody's done that's taken it out of this. So if you're ever in Crown Point, I strongly suggest you go see this because this is a beautiful example of preservation and restoration. Yes, it's all old and rotted looking, but that's kind of part of the charm of it, that it brings you back to a time. We're losing these buildings a lot because property is at a premium. Everybody wants to come in, tear down these old buildings because who cares? Put something brand new and shiny in there. And one of the things that affects these people the most is budget and cost. There's money out there under the national landmarks and the Indiana historic landmarks. It's just not a lot of money to do major improvements. And we don't see any of the improvements that have been talked about as coming outside of what we would normally do when we evaluate these structures, which is limit the occupant loads like Dennis has done, keep on track with the structural, which Dennis has done, the emergency lighting, which I don't disagree is a good thing. But what we'd like to not say is, let's let them do a historical evaluation and place the signs where they're effective yet not destructive to the nature. And we can do that. We've already talked to them about some of their exit sign placement and some of their emergency lighting, and they're coming through and do that. So if that's a condition, that's fine. But I just don't want to, in here, sitting in this room without seeing the building, I just want to like add a bunch of signs for the sake of adding a bunch of signs. We would add them in the emergency backup lighting where it makes sense and where we can hide it enough to not negatively impact the structure, but still make it effective. And again, the training that they do with their staff, because these all are guided tours, there are people there. And the biggest thing at our historical walkthrough facilities is the staff training, the pre-planning and all that. And it's done, across the country in all these buildings. And I think that they've been doing that here. We just maybe want to formalize it so next time the fire marshal comes through, they understand that they're really on top of this. And here it all is, and here's how we've done the training. It's, like I said, on paper, sometimes buildings look big. I have some pictures, which they didn't submit, but when you stand in that cell block, I mean, it's, yes, it's maybe 75 feet, but it's just a wide open space. There's nothing in the way. There's nothing impeding it. There's no confusion in this space about getting lost because of the way that it's laid out. I mean, you basically have that center stair, and then everything else feeds back pretty clean to it. So I don't see that as an issue. You know, it's been there 150 years. We would like to maintain it as historically accurate as possible. We only got involved because of my all these other buildings we've done. We've done some here in Indianapolis with the federal government, as far as sometimes when you touch these structures, you do more damage to them that can't be repaired. So we try to work very carefully within it. And I think Dennis has put together a tremendous presentation, but I just wanted to say that we do this. I've got these facilities all over. I went through this facility. We did our standard inspection. We came up with some small minor changes as far as the employee training and some of the emergency lighting. But other than that, this is a great facility, and I would really hate to see Indiana lose it. And if too much of today's modern codes are put on this, that's what ends up happening, is we do lose it. Again, this isn't something where, this isn't a wedding barn where we're trying to shove 300 people in it. This isn't, one of these 10 facilities. This is just something they're trying to preserve in its exact form, so that we have this historical reference for, hopefully, I happened to bring my daughter through when we were up there. That's where she lives, up there, and there's not a lot of that for these kids to see. They don't remember all the old stuff, and she was just like amazed. She thought it was like the most amazing thing she had ever seen. She's like, I've seen stuff like this on TV, but just didn't understand how corrections have changed.
I'm supportive of it.
Yeah.
Right, I totally understand it, and I'm very supportive of it. All I'm suggesting is there's already 5 exit signs in here. It probably makes sense that, I agree with you, place exit signs in the 1928 edition, just because it's a little bit more closed up.
And are the local building and fire officials here? Because it says they're in support of it. I was just wondering if they were here too.
Did you talk to them about?
Unfortunately, that was my mistake. I thought the meeting was September 11th. I honestly did. I talked to our local fire marshal, and I told him about getting a letter for us possibly. And I told him the meeting was on September 11th.
I'm present at the meeting.
I've been here.
Well, I'm sorry, man.
Can we get the doors shut?
Sorry, somebody talking? Somebody
Yeah,
else?
Todd Bennett unmuted. So you see the fire official?
Yes.
I am, yes.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir?
I will probably sound more like a repeater. The gentleman that referenced the exit in the alley, then the exit lights and the exiting, that was my feedback to them as well in our sit-down meeting it's been a few months ago. So yeah, to not repeat everything he just said, I concur, and that's exactly what we talked about in the meeting.
I'd like to ask a couple questions. So we've been focused on a lot on tours, but there is in the variance, and it looks like on your website that you do host events there. Where are those events hosted in the building?
The events are mainly in the house. The areas that you see on the map, there are times that we will take small groups through the entire building, but they are not sit-down events. Most of the events we do, aside from, we've done a couple art shows, and those are vendors, but those stay within the areas that you have on the maps. If we do like an art show like that, they're all within the area that's on the map. If people go to other areas in the jail, they are in small guided groups.
Okay, so the egress distance isn't, it's the same as what you've shown in the event where you set up the events.
Yes, if we have a big event, it is on the areas that are highlighted on the maps for you.
Okay.
She highlighted the haunted house right in pink.
Yeah.
So that's on the ground floor.
Yes.
Yeah,
It raises a question that I had. I'm sympathetic with the idea of using this as a historic property for tours, especially small guided groups. The thing that concerns me a little bit is its use as a haunted house facility. When there are entirely separate requirements in the building code for special amusement occupancies like that require additional life safety measures. So that gives me a little pause.
Well, we are on our 12th year of our haunted house. We get a special permit every year. We have a full inspection done by our local and by state. They come in and do the full inspection. Luckily, because of the building, we don't have to build sets or build a lot of things. And we do use the flame retardant sprays and all the stuff out there for all of our props that we do use. And we do use lighting throughout the thing. And like I said, it's a special permit we get every year for 12 years. And we do have it inspected for that purpose.
A follow-up on my question is, aside from haunted houses, it looks like there's like, there's a picture of like a seating with chairs. Is that in the second floor area or is that in the first floor area?
If what you're looking at on the website looks like a wedding photo, like maybe set up for a wedding or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
They did that in the 90s. They thought about doing weddings here, but that idea was dropped and nothing like that has been done here as far as like big groups.
So is the intent of this variance to have the option to do that? Or are
No.
you? Okay.
No, we're really okay to stay within that 50-person limit. Our events, even, the ones that we have had, like the tours and the haunted house and stuff, we're always under that number. It's not our idea to turn this place into a venue like that. There are special events we do occasionally, but most of what we do are like the guided tours and the haunted house. And since we are non-for-profit, that is how we make money to continue our mission of preserving the building, is through fundraising and grants. So the importance of running like a haunted house and the tours and things like that is what help us continue in our mission.
So, the proposed, changes or additions to what were lighting, was that one of them? Emergency exit lighting, which it sounds like, Todd, you agreed with, and Susan, Sandy, I assume you are comfortable with that. Is that right?
Yes.
Was there another item?
So just
Just the exit lights. And you have like a, when you do your haunted house, you have like a safety plan that you put together to do that with the fire department, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is a requirement. You have to have that. Chief Ben, I take it you guys, Chief did before you guys do an inspection before they open the haunted house for the year, is that correct?
To my knowledge, that's the way it has been in years past. This is my first go at this and my first variance actually, but yeah, to my knowledge, my predecessor and the state fire marshal that's assigned to this area visited it for amusement or whatever permitting needed to be done.
Yes.
This one, this isn't your standard. You missed the haunted house rush of the 2010s. When everybody put a haunted house in everything. Our biggest problem with the haunted house is with all the plywood that you have to use to make the paths. This one is more staff driven, like people. So it's more like in the buildings where people are just in the cells and looking at, and a whole lot less by way of constructing a maze. There's no maze constructed, there's no, heavy combustible loading with constructing partitions. The emergency lighting on the first floor meets the requirements and the travel distance and all that, so they comply with that. We put haunted houses in everything we can possibly put haunted houses in. And it took a long time for them to get it in the code where it makes sense, and I think now we can regulate it, yeah.
Fire department was aware that
Yeah.
they come through beforehand, so they get a floor plan in case something does happen.
Yeah, and
EMS call, you know.
this is your first year with the fire department, right?
That's what he said.
Yeah, okay.
There will be a posted occupancy limit sign.
Your recommendation is, or I guess your recommendation is that you don't believe that there's a need for any additional exit signs.
So exit signs, even if they were to do exit signs per code, I don't think we would need them in all the areas that you're talking about, because you only need them when you're over 50. As a calculated occupant load, and you only need them if you have special confusing paths of egress. I think there are ways that we can put it to improve the egress to help people out in case there was power loss with the emergency lighting. And they've been doing a lot of that, where they've been actually putting lighting throughout the facility back to modern lighting. And get those emergency lighting so you're not tripping over anything and that. And as far as the exit signs, making sure that there's a clear direction to the path of egress that at least meets the code minimums. And then it's just what type of egress sign we use, and that to meet the historical nature of the building and how the emergency lighting is a little less obvious with LED strips and things like that.
Or Chief Bennett said that didn't look at that, so I guess without us, so I know what it's like to walk through a building as compared to looking at these, so
Right.
as long as he has walked through that and feels comfortable with that, with the way that they're gonna address it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's like the historic part of it, we're, otherwise you'd need to upgrade a lot of things. So I think it's reasonable to have the expectation that we want to make this jail really easy to escape from and
Sorry.
and have a couple little additions of lighting and that kind of thing to get everybody comfortable and not require all these upgrades to what the letter said you would have to do.
Yeah, I think this gets easier when we adopt the existing building code, because it does address this type of a facility, whereas our code doesn't really allow for that.
Yes, so I motion to approve with lighting, egress lighting added, that is approved by the local fire official.
And exit signs.
Exit signs and egress lighting that is approved by the local fire official.
Second.
First and second to approve.
Commissioner Burris,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Chris,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde,
Yes.
Cameron. Yes. Commissioner Patrick,
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Beck.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, we have 24 consents that we have addressed inside our operations center. All
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you. Is there anyone here for 240737, the Franciscan Center operations? Yeah, I know we did discuss this last month, we tabled it. I met with Mr. Keldy and also Mr. Lay. They are adding a fire alarm system and they are adding a sprinkler system, but I guess I'd like to table this until we can complete.
That's, motion, second.
Second, yes. All right, Commissioner Burris,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yeah.
Commissioner Chris,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde,
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Commissioner Patrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes. Yes.
All right, next up we have 24/7, 43/7, Brew Drive Chicago.
One here for 240733, 7 Brew drive-through.
Motion table.
Second.
Will this be the second table?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Davis.
Yes.
Yes. Chairman.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes. Yes.
The last table variances we ready to do.
Yes.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with this experience, we will call out the number and the name of the variance, and then DHS staff will give a short presentation on the variance and explain to the commission why I was referred to them. You will come up here, and if the commission has any additional questions or you have any additional information to present, that will be your time. So starting with 240827 GYY 39K hangar, Gary.
This is an airplane hangar that is wanting to be less than 30 feet from the property line. And right now it's 21 feet.
Is there anyone here for 240827 GYY 39K hangar?
Allow Mr. Burks.
No hardship bags.
These documents also have been submitted electronically.
We did not know that process.
Gentlemen, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Pete Visconski. I chair the Board of Commissioners for the Gary Chicago International Airport. With me today is Mr. Dan Vicari, who is our airport director. We also have Ron Terry, who is our deputy chief of the Gary Fire Department, as well as our consulting engineer, Kent Roth. We've asked Mr. Ross to make a short presentation on our behalf. And obviously, any of us would avail any questions you have.
Thank you. Start off with one clarification. It is not requesting to be less than 30 feet from a property line. We're more than 30 feet from a property line. We're more than 30 feet from a public right of way. This is a question about spacing between two buildings on the same property. And PowerPoint, I apologize for not getting this to you sooner, being new at this, hopefully the last time we have to come before you. But we've been kind of working on this, and you're Mr. Plum. You and I talked about this quite at length a couple years ago when you were the lead plan reviewer. And what this issue is, I think, is mainly a code interpretation. Depending on how the code is interpreted, we have 7 design professionals on this, and believe it or not, sometimes it's hard to get 7 people to all agree on one part of the code. So with that, I want to just, second page, I provided the layout of the building. The new building is the one in blue. It is 21 feet from the hangar to the west. It's 21 feet from the hangar to the east. And it is an S1 hangar, type 2B construction, conservatively rated 0-hour firewall. And so looking at the code, and this was as the person that did the siting and the placement of the building on the property, this was the determination that our company made. In chapter 2 of the International Building Code defines fire separation distance, and it's to be measured to 3 things: the closest interior lot line, to the center line of a street or alley or public way, or to an imaginary line between two buildings on the same lot. And that's all then leads you to the fourth slide, which is chapter 6, which is defines the fire resistance rating of exterior walls depending on these separation distances. And I highlighted in red, this is an S1 hangar for an airport. It is type 2B construction, and at 21 feet, it is greater than 10 feet to that imaginary line. According to this table, it would require a 0-hour firewall, which we would pass, obviously. Where it gets gray is note G underneath that table says for special requirements for Group S aircraft hangars, see section 412.4.1. So you go to the next slide. 412 is a special detailed requirements based on use and occupancy. And the exact words from the code on exterior walls, 412.4.1 says, exterior walls located less than 30 feet from lot lines or a public way shall have a fire resistance rating of not less than 2 hours. We make the statement that modified 2 of the 3 fire separation distances listed in the definitions in the table 602. So in quick summary, our position and interpretation is that the fire separation defines 3 items, which the distance shall be measured, including lot line, public way, or an imaginary line between 2 buildings. And table 602 uses that to define the firewall rating. Section 412.4.1 only overrules 2 of those 3 items, which is the lot lines and the public way. Our interpretation is that section of the code does not overrule the distance between 2 buildings on the same lot that are owned by the same owner. If we agree on that interpretation, a variance should not be needed. But in our interest of time and everything, and because one of our design team did take a conservative interpretation and felt like it did modify that distance, that it needed to be a minimum of 30 feet to the nearest building or lot line. We applied for the variance just in case if that was the interpretation. But in our variance request, we identified that Gary Airport has a 24/7 fire department right on the airport itself. The next slide shows the proximity. It's 2,400 feet. That airport, or that fire department can respond to accidents on the airport within 3 minutes. So getting down there, plus it doesn't even have to go out on city streets. It can drive right down the apron of the airport itself to that hangar. And we have 3 fire trucks with over 6,000 gallon capacity. They're never off the airport. This isn't a case where the fire department's out on a call. They always are stationed at the airport. They never leave. And there are 2 other fire departments in East Chicago and in Gary that are also 3 miles away. So we are hoping to move forward with this project. We didn't submit an interpretation rule at the time because we were not in dispute with the building officials. And that's the way the portal's kind of set up.
That's what I was going to ask is, sounds like this didn't come up from local or state plan review. It came up from internal discussions.
This was internal team discussions, risk management officials, and everything else that gets involved. We did provide a letter from the city of Gary building commissioner, who he drafted his support for the variance. We also have the deputy fire chief here in attendance as well, and his letter that they drafted. And they drafted their letter as more of a, we agree with the interpretation type position that maybe a variance is not required. And then just in case we do have a variance, we want to make sure everybody's aware of the hardship issues. Just doing a 2-hour firewall, and we're talking about cladding here. This doesn't change the structure of the steel or anything. This is just what are you going to put on the outside walls? To put a 2-hour firewall on 2 walls is $750,000, which raises the rent on the tenant $44,000 a year. And we feel it's a bit much, especially like I said, when you have a fire department that's literally feet away. So
And you also have a full fire sprinkler inside the
the
building.
building is fully sprinkled and alarmed, as are the two buildings that is adjoining to it.
And you're with City of Gary Fire Department. And you're good with what proposal?
Yes.
And what about the in-house fire department? Who governs?
They are actually governed and owned by him.
So it's not a separate fire department for the airport versus the
So
city.
they are a part of City of Gary, correct?
We're not, we have our own fire department.
Okay.
Yes.
At one point, they were subcontracted or whatever. Now it is Gary, the airport employee. So the airport authority manages and operates the fire department.
24/7, right?
But yes, most of our firemen are former Gary firemen.
And as far as you, sir,
Yes, sir.
if something was to go wrong, you're good, you can back them up.
We would have a dual response. The airport, the ARF station would respond, and then our city would respond. We would respond with the still alarms. With three companies, I'm sorry, four companies, chief officer, wind company, the truck company, and they would come from various directions. Our closest station within the city is 1.25 miles from the airport, Park Road, and then we would have multiple station response from our downtown station and our station on the far west side.
There's railroad tracks there, right? And
There are railroad tracks, yes.
it's get coverage for mutual aid.
And then mutual aid, we would have the city of East Chicago's mutual aid. And their station is probably 2.25 miles from this location, without railroad tracks.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
I'll go back and back. Yeah. Are we sure that,
Yeah, I know where you're going.
are we sure that we even need a grant, a variance? Because his point, I mean, you read the letter. It says lot line and public way. And in the commentary, it says lot lines and public way. It does not refer to the imaginary line. So he makes a good point that the letter of our code and the commentary of that section from ICC do not refer to imaginary line between the building on the same lot.
So you thinking I should make a motion, no variance required?
I think it could be in the yard. I guess my only hesitation would be, I didn't have this packet in front of me to really dig in to the argument. And I would be hesitant to set up any kind of precedent. Even though right on the face of it, it's very logical and it reads very well. I'm one that tends to like to research maybe a little more than I need to.
To give you a little bit of history, the 2000 IBC used to call out an imaginary property line. But then in 2003 on, they took out the word property and just called it an imaginary line. They didn't use the word lot or anything else. And so our interpretation was 412 was to protect people that don't reside on that property, so to speak. And the Gary Airport's over 700 acres now, and we're nowhere near neighbors. And this hangar sits back 150 feet from the public road, so that's not an issue.
Even if you set a precedent in this one case, I mean, there's so much supporting factual information, it would be hard to dispute that.
Oh, I'm fully
Yeah.
supportive of granting the variance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the NBR that.
it's ruling NVR that has the element of danger to it. Yeah.
We would like to submit this as an interpretation issue so that it could be immortalized and codified into the interpretation pages. Because I'm tired of dealing with this with every airport hangar that we built.
I think that, I agree. Randy Cooley, code enforcement.
2 years.
I don't think a no NVR is acceptable because where the code contradicts itself and multiple codes contradict, the most restrictive shall apply. It's already on record. There is a code site that requires this. So the variance would be the appropriate factor.
Okay.
And I'll set the wrong precedent.
What's this citation that requires it?
Pardon me?
What requires it?
He mentioned it earlier as he was going through.
I think he's talking about the table of fire separation distance, but that footnote G refers you to chapter 4, 412 is which
Right.
is the exception.
412, though, we believe does not apply to the distance between two buildings. It only applies to public right of ways and neighboring properties.
Well, it depends on the ownership of the property, I would imagine, or how it's platted, because it does reference lot line, which is a code defined term as the line separating one lot from another. And lot is defined as a portion or parcel of land considered as a unit.
There are no lot lines. I mean, this parcel is over 500 acres alone. Even though the airport has purchased other properties, there is no lot lines that have ever been where these buildings are. So these are still, this would be no different than a GM or whatever, adding a second building onto their plant or whatever on their property without having to buy a neighbor. And Taylor's been working on this, and Mr. Blunt, I don't want to put him on the spot, but he and I had a lot of conversations. I think he even tried to take it to former Commissioner Craig, and at the time, there was no movement or whatever, but I think that there was some belief or the interpretation issue.
The unfortunate position that you find yourself in is in statute, in that the written interpretation can only be requested when you have a conflict with an interested party in a governmental jurisdiction. If none of the governmental jurisdictions, none of those those AHJs have had a chance to rule on it, then there's no conflict. So therefore an interpretation can't be given yet.
So
I imagine that was the situation.
So I think if we went ahead and finished submitting our stamp sealed plans, with all this in knowledge, we could get the rest of our state plan release then probably without an issue, sounds like. And we could still work on the interpretation issue. I don't want the interpretation to hold up this project. I mean, we're ready to start putting up steel. I mean, right now they wouldn't even let us put up structural steel because they wanted to make sure that the variance didn't change something there. But yeah, we are in a catch-22 where if you approve a variance, you're kind of creating a precedent, but would an interpretation later negate that variance approval?
I don't know that it would negate the approval. It would just, in the future, make it moot.
Make it moot, yeah.
Yeah, we can move on.
No longer apply. So we could approve a variance today, still work on the interpretation in my spare time. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Well, the stuff is created. It's just a matter of submitting it formally. Again, it's not a dispute with a code official. But that doesn't mean it might not be some other airport somewhere down the line.
I still don't see anywhere where it's requiring a fire rating on the wall. Like 602 doesn't seem to show it. It refers you to a note that doesn't require it. So where's the requirement? So why is the variance needed?
Good job.
Yeah. You said there was a requirement, but
I was speaking off of his previous inmate statement.
there's no, but he's stating that there's no requirement to go.
I think 412 applies to
Of course, table
building
602.
spaces.
And table 602 doesn't require you to have.
Two says we can go down with less, as little as 10 feet.
Yeah.
To the imaginary line, which would be 20 feet between buildings, and we're 21.
I may have misunderstood when he said he was 21 feet and that table said if it's less than 30, one was required. So that's where I picked up on that.
Yeah.
Well, 412 says less than 30 feet to a lot line or a public right of way, not to another building.
So he needs this to move forward. So like it's been hauling back and forth several times. I made a motion, got a second. Approved. That's my motion.
I would agree if you had the same my discussion would be if you have first and second, they can always file for an interpretation, try and get an interpretation in the future, and this just makes a moot point. You wouldn't need the variance, but the issue right now is that you want to get moving immediately.
We need something.
We don't want to have to stall.
Right. We need something to give our consultants and our team a comfort level that what they're doing is good with officials.
So good vote.
Take a vote.
Commissioner Briggs?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Chris?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyrell?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Ray?
Yes.
Here. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, next item is 24/8/28. All right, and the request, A2, that's over 5,000 square feet, and on, over 100. Mark commercial system in. The reason why I sent this to you is that according to their information, the occupant loads over actually 500. That would be best for you guys to decide.
Okay, my name is David Graff with Renaissance Design Build, 117 South Indiana Avenue, Sellersburg, Indiana, representing the Pizza King site. And we have submitted everything we think that you needed to make this recommendation. I think it should be, just for your information, the 7,000, there's a 7,000 square foot existing building, which is used as an indoor putt course and an arcade. And they're building a restaurant on an L shaped around two sides of it to sell pizzas. And there's not really a very good occupant load in the code for a putt course and an indoor putt course and an arcade. So we used the 50 square feet for that. And that's how we kind of got to this occupant load. And also this does not have, this is kind of a remote building and does not have adequate water line for a sprinkler system. And the local fire chief is the one who recommended that they submit a variance. So that's why we're here today. From that, basically, he's the one that recommended that we apply for a variance. So I don't know if you have any more questions. That's kind of the overall, you've seen the plans and everything as well. And we have 7 exits out of the building as opposed to just what's needed for 3. So we have a lot more exits on all sides of the building than it requires.
I'm sorry if you mentioned this before and I missed it. I was looking up something else. What's your hardship?
It's $80,000 is the cost of the sprinkler to get to the building and the sprinkler system in the building. And it's about a $1 million project, so it's a little less than 1/10 of the project is a sprinkler cost.
What steps have y'all been those gonna be? I thought you said 500.
Sorry, I missed that.
500 off food.
And how much did you say it was gonna be to install? $80,000 was the price for your code. 8,000 to install fire sprinkler system.
Yes, or is it, how much is the line to get water to you?
I was told that was part of that cost, so it's about 250, 350, 300 feet away is the water line to get there. It's not like miles, but there's not I assume what there's going now is like a 4-inch line or something, so.
Yeah, so $1 million total cost for the addition? Is that what you said? So 8% or whatever it is?
Yeah.
That's pretty low percentage for my opinion.
I would think that'd be pretty reasonable. We consider the safety of the people inside.
Yeah, with how it looks like you got a restaurant. Is that a bar that you have on the?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got bar, restaurant, people playing golf inside, arcade. Yeah, with a bunch of flashing lights and things like that.
And once again, I think that was what precipitated all this was the local fire chief said, I think you can get a variance for this, is why we're here, so.
Oh.
That's what precipitated us being here today, really.
What's this proposed denial? So is this already? Was this variance already reviewed and?
Yes, the IDHS department had previously reviewed this project, and they decided to deny it based on the cost compared to cost of the building, and it felt like, that $80,000, that was kind of reasonable compared to the project cost itself. And also, the existing building was already in compliance as far as the language that is in a rural area. So our stance was, okay, if your building is you already know that your existing building is in a rural area, you can't provide the sprinkler system. Why are you continuing to add on, putting it in further non-compliant? So it's just two separate situations.
So
I would agree with that statement.
So it was denied.
And then he came back
and
with
then,
additional information, and we still wasn't satisfied.
That only goes denied. It was that they sent a letter that they were intending to deny.
Right, it's a proposed denial there.
To give them a chance to offer additional information.
Right.
Well, I mean, based on the facts of the cost being such a low percentage of the total cost, I would motion to deny the variance.
Second.
Second?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zane?
Yes.
Thank you for your information.
Yeah, we're gonna take a 10-minute break real quick.
I'll give you 10 minutes.
One of them.
Sue.
You just live.
We're, doing a very tough one.
You're right, that's all.
Did you remember that?
I remember, and that was the subject coming up. If I had it there, I'm out of research.
Under appointment to undertake.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get started again. Thank you. You're at 240829.
240829 Box Foundation. The code requires that a manual fire alarm system be installed and be occupancies where the occupant level of the assembly occupancy is 200 or more. The submitter is requesting to not install a fire alarm due to cost constraints. Project was sent to commission due to the uniqueness of that project.
Is there a proponent here for 240829? Anyone either in person or online?
We still muted.
No, we're good. Somebody trying to talk?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can somebody please put a note in the chat if you can hear us right now, please?
Says mic is off, whoever engineer.
That was before Jazz turned it on.
Oh, 1027.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing no proponent.
Motion table.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Curtis?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chris? Yes. Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Hyde?
Yes.
Chairman? Yes. Mr. Patterson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Question, I'm just curious, if something is tabled because there's nobody here, does somebody reach out to them?
We send an automatic letter to the system that it's been tabled until the next commission meeting.
Okay.
To the email address that they have on their concern.
I felt that was, but I just. Thank you.
Alright, so next up, I think we have 240830, and that's all.
This is another variance for, to not provide a fire suppression system in an A2. The occupant load is way over 100. I think I calculated 452 as the occupant load.
Okay, so is this something that your team has not seen before, or what is the commission doing as a result?
To verify, due to the occupant load, that they do not need a fire suppression system.
Is there a proponent here?
Morning, Commission. My name is Robert Hart. My wife and I bought the building, and we're the owners of the building. We're here to answer questions and provide additional detail you guys may need. Just quick background. This was a vacant building in Michigan City, built in 1871, that my wife and I acquired. And we renovated in 2020. So the actual venue has been operating for since 2020. We had a recent inspection from the fire inspector, came in and inspected the building. It was the new state fire inspector, and noted the violations. He was actually 9 violations on an inspection in May of 2024. We immediately rectified 8 of the 9 violations. The 9th violation was he was questioning the need for a sprinkler system. And that's what's brought us here today. We have been working very closely when we renovated the building and all the way up until today. We worked very closely with both the fire marshal of Michigan City, Jeff Goodler, and also the chief of inspections, Sue Downs. They're both very familiar with the situation. We asked them for a letter of support, and I think their answer was that their policy is not to provide letters of support for this, but they would be the only 2 people that would remonstrate, and they would not be remonstrating against this. So they are in support of it, but I guess I can't say that. I guess their support is the fact that they're not here remonstrating. Just as an additional, I happen to note just in my comments, in my most recent discussion with Sue Downs, in addition to the facts that were outlined in the request for a variance, which was the suggested route that we go. Sue also noted a couple of things in her mind she thought that were important was this is an event venue. There is no kitchen here. There is no warmer kitchen. It's only a prep kitchen. We did do fire rated. It's a masonry building. We did do a fire rated paint on the columns on the interior. And there's 2-hour fire rated separation between the first and second floor. The second floor does have three apartments on it. And they were there prior to the renovation. So.
Sorry, you said you have 3 apartments on the second floor?
Yes, sir.
That are all occupied?
Yes.
Exactly what do you do inside the events hall then? I mean, what do you rent it out for? All types of like weddings and everything?
Mostly weddings, mostly weddings. I think somebody said they calculated an occupancy of close to 400. I think the official occupancy is closer to 300 from the fire marshal. And our typical event is about 100 people. And I think we have seating for not more than 200. So we've had very few 200 people events here.
Can you confirm the address is 113 York Street?
Correct.
And is it when was it built?
1871, 1870 was the original construction. It was originally built as part of a larger brewery complex in the historic Elston Grove neighborhood, the Zorn Brewery Complex. This is where they made the barrels for the brewery.
Is it listed on National Register? Is it?
It's a contributing building in the historic district, yes.
As when you did the 2020 renovation, did you do a chapter 34 change of use of the building or anything like that?
I don't believe we did. The first floor was previously used as some type of fish processing and fish store outlet. So I don't know if we necessarily did a change of use.
The apartments get added?
The apartments were there when we acquired the building. We just renovated them.
Have you checked into the cost of a sprinkler system?
We have.
Did you submit a vote or anything to us?
We did not, but I have it here. It's about $50,000 with a bunch of asterisks saying, so I think with the asterisks talking about additional cost related to, that's just, I think, on the inside of the building. They said there'd be additional costs related to excavating and getting water to the building, possibly things like that. So I think the overall cost we've kind of budgeted is close to $60,000 based off of that estimate from.
And how often do you rent the car?
So last year there was sort of a COVID surge right after COVID. We opened it up right in the middle of COVID. There was a bit of a wedding surge. I think this year we're on target to do about 45 events. And those events are, as I said, it can be anywhere from a bridal shower to a wedding to a birthday party.
So did you ever get a change of use? You never got a change of use for this structure then, correct?
I don't believe we did. I mean, whatever the paperwork that we filed, I know we got our CDR. We did get a construction design release. So I don't know exactly. I'm not sure exactly what was required. Would the change of use be a state or would it be a city municipal thing?
staff know what this was approved for back in 2020? I hear that, I'm just really curious.
There's nothing on the address for this in the DFDS system.
The address is 113 yards.
Oh, that's the address? Yeah. Okay.
Please, and all that.
What's the cost of the renovation when you did that? Yeah.
The cost of that renovation was about $200,000. It seems odd that we can't renovate with that.
Yeah, is that coming up? Especially with apartments. I assume the apartments are on the second floor.
Right, that's not, they're on the second floor portion of the building. The first floor has a bigger footprint than the second.
I was looking at the pictures on Google Maps and, how many apartments did you say are?
Three. They're big apartments. They're 2 3-bedrooms and 1 2-bedroom apartment.
That's the best process you go through for a change of occupancy.
Wanted to use, they should have gone for a change of use back in when they renovated the structure. Because that would have changed it from whatever it was, sounded like it was processing, so it sounded like, and then with the brewery, it would have been an F. At the time, and then if they did fish processing, it probably still would have stayed an F.
It
I
wouldn't,
doubt if there were apartments above a fish processing place. I wouldn't think so.
When I say fish processing, it was a fish retail. I don't know the exact market. I know it was something related to, fish. I don't. Just so clarification, that's.
there isn't a requirement in plan review to submit simply for a change of use. That's all driven by construction. If they had to do construction that met the minimums in order to come into compliance with the code for the intended use, then it needs to be filed. Or if they choose to do a 34, it would need to be filed. But a simple change of use, if there's no accompanying construction, doesn't have to come in at all.
And even filing for renovation like that, right, would have been
It more than likely would have
flagged for.
needed to be filed just because of the amount and type of construction being done. But I'm just saying that just for a simple change of occupancy group, if there isn't.
And they could have just gone locally and gotten a remodel, correct?
Yeah, if the actual construction work didn't meet the threshold for filing with the state.
What kind of renovation did you do? Was it?
Mostly cosmetic on the first floor. It was mostly cosmetic. So it was
Mostly
mostly
walk in a remodel.
Yes.
And as I said, Sue Downs, who's the current building administrator, was the building administrator during that time. And she's been very, very sort of closely involved. And Jeff Bruder is the current, Jeff's the current fire marshal. He's been brought more up to speed, but the current fire marshal at the time was involved.
What is the square footage of the building?
The square footage of building on the first floor is about 6,000 square feet. And that includes, bathrooms and, that's not all just open to bath space.
I have a question for just because I got a permits up above and you got an event center and there are all kinds of things that could happen within that venue.
Would you be, I share a similar opinion, that, I got hesitation to grant this variance. Would you be amenable, if we denied the variance, you've already got a quote for 60,000 to do the sprinkler system. Understanding that denying the variance without installations means you gotta install it pretty much right away.
He sneezed, I didn't hear what you said.
If we deny the variance, you basically have to install the sprinklers immediately. But that could interrupt wedding schedules you probably have. If we granted you like a year to get the sprinklers installed, would that be amenable to you?
And I'd love to get the variance, but if that's the condition to it. I'll just say that as much as everybody's excited about Michigan City right now, the economic outlook of this particular part of the town is still not there, and the rents are still very low. And it'd be it's just gonna be very complex to.
Understand, but this
sort
is
of
also
make
that life safety issue, without having a sprinkler system, you have people up above an event center. They have apartments, but they're above, still second floor. And there should be separation. I mean, really, you should have separation between the two. That should be required as well.
When you say separation, because it's just, I know that when the construction happened, that there is sort of separation, there is a fire rated separation between the event and upstairs. There's also a separate entrance.
You're trying to pencil on the part. That's required sprinklers anyway.
Yeah. There's also a separate entrance for the residential, independent of the event space.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with not having a sprinkler system in the structure. Comfortable as far as just morally and liability wise as well. Something were to happen in that venue in the future. The commission was not signed off on it.
Is the entrance to the apartments all just through the vestibule and the hallway going up?
Yeah,
Or is it?
it's a separate entrance through the vestibule on the side, if you can see not through the front vestibule. The front vestibule is the primary entrance to the event center. And there's a separate entrance onto the parking lot on the left side if you're facing the building. So Logan, to go back and just answer your question, obviously it would be a major disruption. If there was a ruling that required immediate action, because there are weddings and there are other events which are planned and forthcoming.
I mean, I just, knowing that there's residents above, knowing that, the cost is not terribly high. I don't know if I can get to, maybe the other commissioners think differently to me, but I'm speaking from my perspective, getting comfortable with not taking that step, in my decision is something that I'm probably not going to get to, but, trying to empathetic to, you're trying to run a business, you're trying to do good things with, keeping historic buildings viable and alive. And hopefully your wedding venue business is thriving right now to where, adding this in is not, if we give you time, you're able to still run your business and provide the protection that people expect. Yeah, people that expect in these type of venues. And again, there is a risk there because even some of your photos show like open flame candles or whatever being used in the space, which is something that we should not. Yeah, so I think that's where I'm at. And if you're amenable to like a condition of having a year to do that, we want to, I just wouldn't go for approving.
Clearly giving us that time so we can plan it and sort of plan gaps where, I don't know exactly what the what the construction schedule is. You know, if I'm talking about the actual on-site versus timing of it, but, you know, then it would give us the ability to, the schedule, I'm sure they could accommodate that.
Does a year seem reasonable to you?
I think so. I mean, it gives us a full cycle, so there's ebbs and flows in the reservation system, so it will give it a year to sort of plan out, and figure out where the right window is, lock that window out, you know, so people don't book it.
Then, and then if like, again, if you have good reason that it's taking like a year and 2 months, you can come back and ask for an extension, but you have to show good faith efforts towards getting it done. So, I'll make a motion, if you're comfortable with that condition, I'm gonna make a motion to, well, I guess it would be, how would I make a motion to deny the variance with the condition that you have?
A motion to approve with the condition.
Yeah, you'd be approving it with condition.
To install
I
a
got it.
fire sprinkler system by October 1st of 2025.
Yeah, so it's a temporary like variance. So it's I approve the variance with the condition that the sprinkler system will be installed by September 2025. September 1st, 2025. Okay.
Second.
I mean, are you agreeable?
I think, what's the alternative? I mean, the alternative.
What's
Yeah, then you're out of, yeah.
Then you're in a real tight timeline.
Yeah, right. Real tight. I understand, I guess, I just wanted to.
There's been a first and a second to
September.
approve with the installation of a fire sprinkler system by September 1st of 2025.
Yeah, unless you, I mean,
Only thing I was gonna say is maybe make it November 1st, is because it gives them September and October, which I'm assuming are planting seasons, just give it time.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the long, I mean, we'll sort of start planning it immediately, but the longer time we have, the better it is.
I don't know, that seems like a long time. I was gonna say shorter, but.
I mean, most of your functions are on the weekend, right?
Yeah, for the most part, it's wedding season. I don't know if, I mean, I don't know a lot about fire system, so.
Yeah.
You know, if it can be installed.
It just depends on what your venue looks like on the inside and how you want the sprinkler system to look. If you want it concealed or if you're good with the piping, which a lot of people are good with that industrial look of having the piping.
Yeah, the building has to go fairly quickly. But I think, you know, a year, whatever you guys are comfortable with, but the more time the better, but we'll certainly, I mean, I hear your guys' concerns and.
So the motion right now is to approve with the installation of a fire sprinkler system by September 1st of 2025.
yes.
There was first and second.
So.
Commissioner Burgess,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Chris,
Yeah.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde,
Yes.
Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Tyler,
Yes.
Ashland.
Yeah.
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zach.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have 240831, the Haven Venue, York. The Haven Venue, the code mandates that a structure report process only be used for class 1 buildings. There's requesting permission to use the process to convert a barn to an A2 or if let's see. We usually send barns to.
Sure. Good morning, Derek Bowman with RTM Consultants. What we have is it was essentially built as a pole barn. It's been used as a storage barn and also private residence throughout the years. It was built in 1976 as part of the construction. It's never been a class 1 structure before. A new owner has purchased a property. They want to convert this into kind of a smaller event center. It's a total of about 3,800 square feet on the first floor. It has 720 square feet on the second floor. They want to be able to maintain that second floor as kind of a small residence area, be R3 occupancy. It passes the chapter 34 evaluation. The structural engineer has gone through the report. There's some corrections that need to be made according to that report with some support beams and columns. Yeah, other than that, kind of the typical non-class 1 structure turning into a class 1 event center.
Are they using the apartment space themselves or are they renting that out to someone else? Do you know?
It'd be a non-transient use is what it would be. It's undetermined if it'd be themselves or if they would rent it out at this point. Would it be a non-transient use for one?
So it wouldn't be like a wedding party either, right?
My knowledge, no.
I mean, it's gonna be, is it gonna be used as an apartment or is it gonna be used as like an Airbnb?
Their intention is not an Airbnb.
Or will be rented as part of renting the facility?
Right, yeah, we classify it as an R3, so. It's not an R1, it's gonna be, they're gonna be transient, non-transient in nature. I will say the floor plans that you have, as far as the floor plan. This has not been updated since chapter 34. There will be exterior exits added on the plan north side of both wings of the building. And there will be a second stair coming from the upper floor as well. One on the north side, one on the south side.
I see existing floor plans. Did somebody upload design drawings for the proposed work or the
At
proposed?
this point, not yet. Because they were waiting to make sure we get approval.
A little hard to do that without knowing what your plans are.
Well, it's gonna be open space like this on the first floor. The only change is gonna be new exterior exits planned north on each wing of the building. And there will be a second stair from the second floor space.
That stair from the residential, I'm sorry, maybe you said it, is it on the outside of the building? Or
No, they're inside the building.
so it goes down into?
It goes in, yes, that's correct. If you look at the floor plan of the building, that middle portion is what has been used in the past as kind of a private residence. That's gonna be, the first floor is gonna be more part of the event center now. The second floor will be, private residence now.
The private residence does not have an exit directly outside.
No, it's into the structure.
So when you want to go out on Saturday night to leave your apartment, you have to go through the wedding
Right.
reception.
That's why I was wondering if they were using it for the wedding. Yeah.
I don't recall ever seeing a project like this where we weren't presented with proposed plans. Otherwise, I feel like we're just signing a blank check.
One of the plans showing the new, basically showing the new doors and then the second stair.
Where's the spiral staircase down?
It goes up into the second floor. That's not gonna be a means of egress stair. That's what the second stair is gonna be for.
But it's still connecting the event space with the apartment above. I'm having a hard time coming up with a reason not to move to deny this.
That spiral stair actually go all the way up to the third floor of the cupola is.
Yeah, there is a little cupola, a rooftop structure.
And I noticed that it looked like it continued up. I saw they
There's a rooftop structure cupola up there.
Greg, why deny instead table? If they want to provide.
Well, we could
plans.
table it if they
bring it
want
back.
to, if they want to take the time to come back with some design drawings.
And you're, and I'm just asking because I want to understand where you're coming from. The hesitation is that they've said they're going to expand or do additions.
No,
My hesitation is that
this floor plan stays the same, minus an exterior exit on the planned north side of the building
That's
on
not
each
shown
wing.
in the plans.
And the second stair is not shown here as well from the second floor.
I see first floor that presumably is going to be event center, but I don't see any identification of function anyplace other than the obvious toilet rooms. I see an apartment that egresses through the event center. It raises a lot of red flags for me. And if they can, take the time to resolve those with some proposed design drawings, I'll be happy to take a look at them. But there's no way that I would vote to approve this at this stage.
And they don't want to do a fire protection system.
Why don't? Is that part of it?
I signed the letter.
Is that part of it, Dave?
The sprinkler system,
Yeah.
no, based on chapter 34, it passes without one.
So you would need.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if we allow them to use.
Yeah, very
To change.
to allow the use.
Ag to class one.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Design plans, I think I've gathered a lot of the cost of your design plans that we're needing. They're going to add an outside exit for the apartment. Am I correct in saying that?
Possibly, that's something that we'll have to discuss with the architect and the owner. Might decide to change the whole concept of the second floor at that point.
You're limited in the event of emergency. In my opinion, my thoughts, you're limited in the event of an emergency. You have to go through that structure to get out.
Was the 34 analysis submitted?
Yes, in here.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, it was, is this and why people in this neighborhood, is this typical? Yeah, are we setting precedent by allowing this? Using chapter 34 for this?
Well, precedent has been set for a while. There's a procedure that's actually been put in place to do this.
We see this a lot with the event barns. They come in with the rings to be allowed to go from an agricultural use to a class one.
Yep.
And when you become class one, then they have the options of doing chapter 34 or applying. There's options that they have.
But not
I think-
R3, right?
The R3, I think, is what's, I think there's two things that are causing concern. One is the R3.
Yeah.
And two is the lack of detail.
How old is the structure?
It was built in 1976.
Vision. I mean, because it was the R3 that I kind of spotted on.
That's where my heart
goes. Yeah, that set a precedent. All of a sudden now we start allowing the use of chapter 34 with a R3.
Well, chapter 34, I mean, strictly speaking, the code requires the structure to be class one, but I don't know that there's anything in the commission's prior actions that would necessarily limit the variance to a former barn or agricultural property. That's just what we've seen. I don't think there's anything inherently more hazardous about an R3 than a former barn. I just feel like we'd be signing a blank check when we don't know how they're going to design this.
So your motion would be to deny
Or take.
or take.
If they're willing to, come back with some design drawings, I'm happy to move to table it. Otherwise, I would move to deny. Is something that they are willing to invest in.
Yeah. It won't be much different than what's here. It's gonna be a flexible space for this, whoever's renting it to.
Surely these spaces will have some purpose that would allow them to be labeled. Maybe a table layout, just anything. I just don't know what they're going to use this for.
We kind of know, but we need something in print. That's where we're at, right?
So it's an ample layout.
Are they going to have a warming kitchen, a full kitchen, no kitchen?
Kitchen. All catered in.
No cleanup spaces, dishwashing, nothing like that?
If we had, print submitted that showed that there is no kitchen, that there is no warming center.
Showing the kitchen would be the same open floor plan.
I hate to say this, but even if they just changed the name of the drawing to proposed first floor plan, at least we'd have something on record that the approval is based on. That if they did something different from that, then, an inspector might have an action.
Yeah. There's no motion to table.
I moved to table.
Well, his motion is to deny.
Well, I haven't made a motion yet. If they're willing to do that, I'm happy moving to table. I'll move to table.
I'll second. First and second.
What are we doing? Yes.
First and second to table.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Richards?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Hyde?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Zach?
Yes.
Yes, Dennis.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It's been a day.
Exterior egress for upstairs.
I would have.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, next up, we have 2408
Yeah.
Aurora Elementary School transformer.
This is a transformer that's been in place for 27 years. Installed back in 1997. They recently had an inspection where the transformer, the dry transformer, did not have clearance for manufacturer specs of 6 inches from the wall. This is referred because of the age of the transformer.
Morning. I know I no longer want to be a fire inspector, but appreciate what you guys do. I'm the superintendent of South Dearborn Community Schools. I just took the position in July 1st and inherited a fire inspection that had 3 transformers at one of our elementary schools. They're all between 1 and 3 inches off the wall. We've had an electrician come out and move them. If we move them in the rooms that they're in, they'll be closer to the fire panel, which we were told would cause another issue. So without significant redesign and reconstruction, the building was built in 97, as they said, so it's 27 years old. It's passed previous fire inspections. It passed the building inspection. It's complete concrete walls. There's nothing combustible, nothing that would cause a fire in there. They're far enough away from classrooms that if there was something, we have plenty of time to evacuate. So that's the.
This equipment is original in 97 as well.
Just the one, was it?
There's 3.
On the same building?
Yeah.
Okay.
They take all the other violations from correcting.
Yes, all the others are correct.
All 3 were installed the same way. One of them, the one that has the picture with a bunch of stuff in there, is that one, is that like a storage room as well, or?
Let's see.
This one right here. Or is that just like contractor equipment or something?
That. I'm not 100% sure on that. Again, I apologize. I've only been there since July.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Still there.
Maybe.
Yeah. But if that's an issue, we can certainly move all that stuff out.
I don't know what the requirements are of things being stored around a transformer, because that's not what the question
Let's
is.
take note of PBS world.
Okay.
Yeah, there's gonna be stored around it.
Okay, so then,
We can make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's an easy fix.
yeah.
It's no storing of any material.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's gotta be.
Block. 3 foot.
Yeah.
1 or 2 inches is some people. But 1997, it was installed that way. I'm presuming as far as building codes have changed somewhat.
Well, I think there was a manufacturer requirement for ventilation. So it's been functioning since 1997
Yeah.
time with.
Like 3 wrongs don't make a right. You know, it could have been right back then, could have been installed wrong.
Yes.
But the manufacturers
But it's been working since 1997.
agree.
Probably likely it's all. So.
On the pictures, can you tell, is it the 3 transformers that are sitting on a pad?
Yes, they're surrounded by concrete walls all the way around.
At least they're elevated.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Randy Cooley, IDHS Code Enforcement. These are cited, this isn't the first school that we've cited these in. And the last year we cited them in a school and they came back and the electrician actually moved them, cut the section of wire out where the wires had started to melt down. These are air-cooled transformers and this is manufacturer specs to require that clearance so that air circulation doesn't, it helps prevent that meltdown. If you all want to give the variance, I'm good. I just wanted to put that information out there that there's a requirement for that, and that's the reason to prevent that heat buildup in transformers.
Has it been inspected by electricians to see if there's deterioration?
His, I'm not sure.
You know,
It was just cited on our maintenance.
you know, if they inspect, you have electricians inspect them every once in a while, or?
We did have an electrician come out and look at everything and they gave us an estimate of, they didn't give us a quote, but they said it'd be several $1,000s to move. They said that everything was working properly when it came. There were no concerns on their end. They said if you're required to move them, it's going to be an issue about moving them closer to the fire pan. That's the only way to give the clearance.
I'm not an electrician, so I'll ask the question. The ventilation opening is on the back and it's not that opening on the front.
Should be on the back.
Okay.
Should be.
I see a large opening on the front above the label. I didn't know if that was a ventilation opening or what that is.
Here. It's right at the very top. with it, right below where the lid is.
Yeah.
Is the building,
Yeah, I was wondering if this is a ventilation.
the environment's controlled that they're in, air conditioning?
So you're saying there's a ventilation on the backside?
That's the ventilation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost impossible for anybody to get in there as far as a student or a child to be exposed to light conductors.
No, it's the heat building. That's the Chief Cooley mentioned.
Yeah.
This is on that.
Yeah.
July, huh?
I feel like they need to be inspected by an electrician.
You had an electrician in there, right? And they looked at it to move it.
They were looking at moving it, yes.
But did they disassemble the front panel or whatever and look inside to see if anything was burnt? I know, that's,
Well, can we make that a condition?
Yeah.
Because like, it's a manufacturer requirement to have the 6-inch minimum of vents. One vent is clearly open. One vent's maybe against the wall on the backside. It's been operating for more than 20 years. So maintenance is now probably the bigger issue than the ventilation, right? That's my perspective. So, and I'm also speaking as somebody where at the office building I work at, the transformer just blew up a couple weeks ago. So I understand the risk.
We'd be happy to have somebody come out and
Yeah,
inspect
so-
if that's that would.
I'm thinking that front's the only vent.
I'll motion to
But we don't see the other.
Right.
approve the variance to allow these transformers to remain in place with less than 6 inches of ventilation on the sides, with the conditions that the materials be removed from that one storage area. And then the second condition that the transformers be inspected by a qualified electrician.
Yeah.
And it's not a part of the variance, but just so we're all on the same page. 5 years from now, that transformer needs replaced. You don't get to put a new one in a non-compliant location.
Okay, so that's the other condition that I mean, is that for only the existing transformers.
I think that area right there is the only thing that comes into play. I don't think that vent is all the way.
Would you want to report on writing instead of having an electrician just come by and say, oh, yeah, it's good?
Documentation, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you want us to submit that to you, or do you just want us to keep it and make it to the fire marshal?
No, it's something that you would retain for your records.
We'll do that. It's not a problem at all.
So approve with condition that this only applies to the existing transformers. If you replace them, you'd have to follow the manufacturing instructions. Condition 2 is to remove the stuff from that storage area. And condition 3 is having a qualified electrician inspect the transformers with a written report delivered to you and the local fire official.
Would it be a favorable written report?
Well, if it's a negative written report, then medical action would be taken.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's something wrong with it, we'll obviously have to fix that. Whenever.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Burgess,
Yes.
Commissioner Coe,
Yes.
Commissioner Chris,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter,
Yes.
Vice Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford.
Yes.
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 Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have 24 drainage solutions and facility agreement bill.
The flood rates that are portion of the news events more than 400 feet. Fire hydrant on the prior furnace access road. On-site fire hydrants and names shall be provided. Emitters and precedents that may be exempt from this requirement. So then it's commission due to the nature of that.
Melissa Tupper, RTM Consultants. This is a new 10,000 square foot sales showroom and warehouse building. They're 4,200 feet from the nearest public water supply. The cost hardship is 29% to provide hydrants within 400 feet of the building. It's all non-combustible construction. It could have been built out of combustible construction. It's on a 6-acre lot. It's over 30 feet from property lines. Short travel distance, all within the 200 foot that's permitted. I spoke with the local fire official and he submitted a letter that, you know, he understands the hardship and that they're supposed to be getting water through there, but the water company won't set a time. But he did say that he would like to see hydrants provided when the public water supply was available in that area, and we are amendable to that condition.
How much was it bring to?
How much what?
And how much was the cost to bring it to the building? Because I see that they have, the cost of the project is $2 million.
Yeah, it's right before that, 554,000.
Is that right? 554,000. I guess I don't get the. I guess I'm not understanding that right. If the building burns because there is no water, it's going to cost more than $554,000 to rebuild the building. So the 450 is what it's going to cost to bring it to the building. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what it's estimated to get the water to the building. I mean, it's 4,200 feet to the nearest water supply. And like I said, they're amenable to providing them when water is available per the fire official.
So it does. Greenfield? Are you with Greenfield, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greenfield, you are, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm Steve Propasic, Fire Marshal with Greenfield Fire Department.
And so how many feet is it? 3,000 some feet for you guys to have to shovel water? Is that the closest hydrant?
Yeah.
That's a long way. I know, you know.
Yeah.
We only carry over 1,000 feet of hose.
Yep. Yeah. It's quite a distance for us to get water to that facility. And then especially relying on mutual aid to provide additional tankers to that site.
Greenfield is going through a growth spurt at the moment. What are you foreseeing?
So the city of Greenfield is already looking to annex all the way to 200 West, which goes past this on, at least on the north side of the road. That's in their timetable. I think we're only 195 feet, I think, to the city limit. So that was
maybe possibly being annexed in. There's already a timetable with the water department, with the city to start in the next year or two running water. Right now it's 9 Star that would be bringing the water, which is coming from the west side. They don't really have, from what I understand, no plans to go further than 200 west, which is west of this property, bring anything that way. So that's a concern too, is, there might not ever get water there. So.
But what if they have to, how many feet away was it for the?
If they 9 Star brought it,
Annex.
city annexed in, then it would be coming probably from that closest side. There's just a little bit east of there, there's a new building that they ran water mains across from an apartment complex to a building. They would just have to probably tie into that and run down the road. And I don't remember off the top of my head the distance on that, but
200.
yeah, it's a mile or two, less than 2 maybe.
The business that's south of there, are those like storage tanks?
I see.
Just curious, right here.
Tanker trucks?
Are those right?
Like big LP tanks.
Yeah.
I don't think you're in the right spot.
Maybe I'm not, it's not there. That's storage, they have the wrong.
Currently, they have a building in New Pal, so that's probably their old
Oh, this
facility.
is the different one.
Then they're looking to move into our area. Yeah, he has the correct map there.
Oh, that's right there.
How much was it?
How much hose and 5 inch? We got 1,000 feet.
So I assume, so
Yeah.
we're lacking 2,000.
Yeah.
What's the things being sold here, Melissa?
There are drainage companies, so I don't know exactly what all kinds of products they use.
I looked them up online. They have a website. They're just like doing, like the drainage tubing and things like that. I mean, yeah,
Like landscape drainage?
yeah. Trench drains, trench drains. I mean, more of a, not big time storm water type stuff, but smaller. Yeah.
That's all, most of it's gonna be plastic.
Yeah.
PET.
Yeah, because they have a nice website and they show the products.
Yeah, parts fast and hard.
Yeah. Small catch basins, landscape supplies, erosion and sediment control. I don't think anything major.
So
Plastics.
how large is the building, their building?
10,000 square feet. Non-combustible construction, 1 story.
How tall is it?
Let me look.
The majority of it is 20 feet, 4 inches. The highest point is 26 feet.
So do they have high power combustible storage in that building?
It's brought to my attention if they have, I don't know.
I know, because, I mean, you build a building and it's 10,000 square feet, then you look at, okay, what's 16 feet high, they're not gonna have, they're under their storage and it requires sprinkler. But if you then look at that same building and go, oh, they're storing 18 feet high and now they're high power combustible storage, which I've had places try and do that to us before.
Oh, yeah.
And so now they're storing it truly is high combustible storage, not just a storage facility. Or
Looks like
it
it's
should have been required sprinkler.
looks like it's probably about 16 floors with bar doors. Or whatever the roof structure is.
I can appreciate the fact that it's a non-combustible building, but hot enough it will melt.
They're in the middle of nowhere.
So do you guys have your own tankers then?
We have one, and then we have to rely on mutual aid.
How many gallons now?
I think ours is 15, I think. It's an older one.
Be hard to roll that much water.
Yeah. And we just don't have a schedule. Or possibly never bring water.
Yeah, that's my concern. I've been told for the last 3.5 years, they're gonna put water at that 2 West because we have a housing district going in and nothing's happened since, and there's no timetable ever.
And it's not similar to this, but it's opposite you. You think about that? Before you get water, but all of a sudden things change because the building is hospital about the water. Water's only quick now. Melissa, that 29%, is that just a sprinkler system? Or is that the getting water to the building and the sprinkler system?
We don't need a sprinkler system. This is just for the hydrants. But yeah, that 29% is to get the water there for the hydrants.
Just for the hydrants? Ah.
Yeah.
It's 4,200 feet from the nearest hydrant and water supply.
And the requirements is important. Yeah, 400 feet, 4 back number.
Melissa, what would you think about like a 2-year approval to see what happens with the extension of water lines in that period of time?
Yeah, I think we can agree to that. And then if water's not going to be available, maybe we can come up with some alternative water source for the fire department or something. But yeah, that'll definitely give, hopefully, time for the water to get closer at least.
What's, so are you guys able to, so if in the future, they put a tank in or a reservoir, you guys can pump out of that?
We would, and in that time frame too, it's possible, like I said, with the city, and maybe by then they'll annex where it's a little closer, where if they hook in, they can run it across US 40. Like they've done before. That's a possibility with the 2 years. So.
What's the alternative water sources like tanks and stuff? How much does that cost?
That would be what I would say, that they would have to either put a tank in or have a reservoir.
Yeah.
That they can pump out of.
Well, is that, I mean.
Has that cost been looked at? Melissa,
No,
as far as a tank and or a reservoir for them?
We have not. We're hoping that we'll be able to just tap into public water supply in the near future.
Yeah. 2 years is a long time, but I guess that'd be more than a week. You give them those 2 years to see if they could move, if they bring water in, if not, that will give them 2 years to figure out whether they can add a tank or add a reservoir for them.
My thought is, if we put it a condition of 2 years, either it gets done or they come back in 2 years.
Correct.
What my hesitation would be to say, okay, we're going to approve on the condition that when the water's available, you'll put in 2 hydrants.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And then
Infinity.
that's 10 years, 20 years, never.
Yeah.
You know, at least we know that if the water doesn't get extended, we're hearing this again in 2 years. And hopefully most of us are still here. I mean,
I'll be.
I mean, like that.
I would be honored to second that if that's your motion.
all right, so I'll make a motion to approve
Stipulation.
with the stipulation that, you know, the hydrants be installed, you know, as required. It's required by the fire code, or it's required by, you know, fire jurisdiction. How do we want to word that? Or just approved until.
Yes. That's the right word.
Yeah, because if they come into compliance, they don't need to come to get
Yes.
an extension. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve. The variance expires September 1st, 2026.
Yes.
Fancy math. When did you say it expires? 9/1/26.
And I will second.
So at that time, Melissa, you'd either have to have water out there or schedule for water out there. Or figure out a different way to get water out there with it, you know,
Understood.
Tank into a pond. But are you guys acceptable with that?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
It's workable.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some plans in place, at least with the city wise and annexation of easier to get water in that time frame. So.
This might help make an argument for annexation too. Right?
Commissioner Bruce?
Yes.
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 Jim,
yes.
Schreier,
Yes.
Vice Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, we have 24. For the apps.
This is for a handicap solution. This is gonna be a common thing, you know. They want to deny access to the cashier area and an office area, which is elevated 7 inches without a ramp, so that the cashier area can look out at the gas pumps and down onto the patrons in the store. They do not want to provide a ramp.
Yeah, I'm Mario Guerra with J2LR General Contractors. This is a newly constructed convenience store, a gas station at southeast corner of Troy and Arlington. The cashier area was raised, as we do in almost all of our gas stations. It's enclosed in bulletproof glass. It's mainly for a safety deterrent for the employees that have to work 24 hours. It's also gives them visibility for the entire store. They can see down at the bottom of the product racks, and they can see better at look out and see the pumps better in case there's a fire or a spillage, fuel spillage out there. They can leave and get out there quickly. This was found during our final inspection. He quoted the chapter 1103.1, the code, building code. I've since located 2 other codes that alleviate or exclude this type of construction. One is, let's see, 1103.2.6. There's an exclusion which allows for raised areas, observation galleries used primarily for security, life safety or fire safety. The second one I found was 1103.2.3, which states that work area or portions of work areas that are less than 300 square feet in area and located 7 inches or more above, below ground or finished floor, where the change in elevation is essential to the function of space, which will exempt all requirements. The area that we're talking about is 144 square feet. And we were told by the inspector that we needed to get a variance, so that's why we're here.
But you believe you qualify for that exception under 1103.2.3?
Yes.
I would suggest a variance is not the appropriate avenue for that.
We're just doing what
John
we're told.
Callahan, Plan Review Second Chief. The main argument that we had was not that the section behind the desk where the cashiers were, but this one also included an office. Is this a?
This is a different one. There's two.
One second.
No, this does have the office.
This one has the office. There's an office also attached to it that is also elevated behind. And so although we might consider the cashier's role being essential that they're raised up, the manager's office that was attached to it does not.
I would imagine that would probably put it over the 300 square foot limit as well.
It does.
No,
Oh, it doesn't?
Cashier is all about the essential functions of the raised platform. This one is 6.34.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is not the one, I'm sorry. This one is about the fact that it's 6 3/4 inches, not 7.
That was the measurement I got at the doorway, which was a little lower. The floor itself is, the majority is 7 inches. And per our floor plan, the office is not attached to the cashier area.
My apologies, I was thinking of another problem,
Oh, okay.
Logan, does commentary speak at all as to it's considered essential to the function of the space?
I'm gonna just read that. Often referring to like laboratories.
I've never understood why non-public areas can be exempt from that, you know.
Yeah, they give examples. So here's the examples given in the commentary for a excluded work area. Metal stamping machine, a safety manager's observation station on a production line, or a open area in a church. Race courtroom. And that's addressed in this section.
This is an existing building.
It's newly constructed. Yes, it's existing.
Okay. And when was it constructed? I'm sorry.
It just finished, I believe, the beginning of last month.
And you're operating right now, right? You have a certificate of occupancy.
There is no requirement for a C of O in Indianapolis, but yes, they are operating.
This is an addition to an existing building, correct?
No, it's newly constructed.
So is it a new building or remodeled, upgraded building? I'm confused.
So I guess my initial question is, if we're looking at, 110323 employee work areas, and you're trying to fall under the exemption by saying that this change in elevation is essential to the function of the space, then why is it not essential to the function of all the other convenience stores that I've been in that don't have this? What is unique to this structure that precipitates this?
Like I said, most of everyone that we construct has a raised floor area, and its main concern is safety for the employees and a better viewing spot for theft in their stores, and also the pumps outside. You get a better angle looking out the window if you're raised. But it just allows for a quicker response if there's a problem out of the pump. And they are behind bulletproof glass, and they're open 24 hours. So if it's just one employee or two, this greatly increases their safety.
Go.
So I want to talk about the space a little bit so I can get my head in like where things are oriented, because so you have the counter, and if I'm looking at the counter through the bulletproof glass into the cashier space, to the left of that, there's not any photos that I saw provided. But the drawings seem to show it's kind of like a food warming station to the left, if you're looking at the counter as a patron.
Yes, that's where they're gonna sell their food items that they can prepare. The cashier area is located in the southeast corner, or I'm sorry, maybe the southwest corner of the building. If you're looking at the front, it's to the right and to the front. But yes, if you're standing in front of the counter, to the left is the food sale area.
And then you have a door to the east of the bulletproof glass that the employees can walk through to get to either the cooking stations or to the cashier stand.
Yes.
And then you pass through the cashier stand to get into what is defined on this as a office 104.
Let me look at
Room
the floor plan. Yeah, the office is in the back corner of the building.
And the only way to, access the office is by stepping up a 6-inch step into the cashier space and through that door, right?
Well, the step is at the door to the cashier area, so if they were to leave that to get to the office, they'd step down and then go to the back corner. But coming into the door to the side of the cashier area, that's all 7 inches lower than the cashier